Hello,
Hello, Bonnie Burton.
Felicia Day.
I'm very excited to do this Geeks book club with you
I
this
know, me too. Happy holidays, by the way.
Happy holidays. I need a whole DL on your holiday. Was it fun? Did you get anything enjoyable? What's going on in Bonnieville?
It's been a little bit of a stressful month. I got laid off by Hunt a Killer right before Christmas, so that was super cool.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Um, and also my health insurance ends on the 31st and I have nothing. So it's
Oh
been
no.
really fun trying to
Oh
talk to
gosh.
people during the holidays about insurance and unemployment and
Oh, I'm
California
sorry, Bonnie.
especially is just it's just a lot of red tape and a lot of phone. It's a lot. I've memorized so much hold music now that I
Yeah.
never ever want to hear any more music from Toto or from
I
it's just
mean
a
that
lot
your
of hold.
legacy, your
Yeah,
legacy is hold music.
yeah. So it's hold music. Though and then the other side of the spectrum, my dad, his throat cancer came back.
Oh
And
no, I'm
so,
sorry.
he was battling it last year. We thought we got rid of it with chemo and radiation, but it came back. So he had to have his larynx removed,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, his two lymph nodes because they both had cancer in it. So they think they got all the cancer out, but he can't talk anymore,
At
um,
all.
at
If you
all. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
can you use it, can they give them a voice box at a certain
Yeah, he's
point?
working with a speech therapist person to get what they call an electrolarynx, which sounds like a really cool name for a tech band.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But right now he doesn't like typing. He's not a fast typer. He's a cowboy. He doesn't like typing in general or
Yeah, yeah.
computers. So he does this cute thing where he writes on his dry erase board, takes a picture of it, and sends it to me
Aw.
as his text, as his old school text. But yeah, he's in recovery right now. He's doing really well. Just fingers crossed that the cancer's gone. I mean, we can never predict because cancer's a tricky beast.
Was it throat cancer or thyroid cancer?
It was throat, but it spread to his
Oh.
lymph nodes.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
hopefully they got everything and they could do some
yeah.
chemo.
But thank you for picking this book because it was a good distraction from
Yeah.
reality. And also, I was catching up on all the horror films.
Oh,
Uh,
really? What
yeah,
did you find anything particularly that you wanna recommend to everybody? 'Cause, as everyone knows who's listening, I do not watch horror films. I
okay.
just don't do it. But
I really like The Invitation, which is on Netflix right now. It's
okay.
different than Invitation, which is an indie horror film that came out a few years ago, which is also very good. But they're two very separate movies, kind of
Yeah.
like Kindred is a really good movie on Hulu, but The Kindred is also a really good series on Hulu based on the Octavia Butler books,
Which we read,
which we
and
read.
I was thinking I need to watch that just to see what they
Yeah,
did with the adaptation because we
they
read
made
it
some
did
changes.
we read it like a year ago or something like that?
Yeah,
I don't even
yeah,
know.
yeah. They made some changes, but it didn't take anything away from the story as far as I'm
Oh,
concerned.
good.
Though I will say, okay, so the two ones I would suggest, if you like yelling, don't do that. Don't go down to the basement. Are you stupid at your TV?
Uh-huh,
Then I
uh-huh.
highly recommend Barbarians
Okay, okay.
because
I've heard that highly recommended. I think my friend Raiko loved that
I have
movie.
not yelled at my TV more of what are you doing? And that's what the whole point of the movie is. Like the director and the writer both said, look, it's supposed to be like that. So
Yeah,
okay, so I fell
yeah,
for it. Smile is also good. I think that's on HBO Max. I'm pretty sure.
okay.
That came out this year. It's
Oh, that has a creepy poster.
yeah, and it's really weird. If you like the movie It Follows, it's kind of a similar idea, but it's so good. I liked it, and the ending just still haunts me. So I really appreciated that. I like a horror film that sticks with me.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have not seen Megan yet. I'm really excited to.
Is
That's
that
the
the one that looks like a doll? Because I saw that
Mhm.
poster and I was like, "What is wrong with" is that Elizabeth Olsen who got way too much plastic surgery done? Like, what is going on with
It's an AI bot that has machine
Okay.
learning, but as we all know in all horror films and all sci-fi films, robots don't always evolve into nice people.
They
They
always become sentient and destructive, right?
Yeah, we can't all get Data, right? We can't
Yeah,
all have cute little robot dogs from
no.
Battlestar Galactica, the original. And R2D2, that's I married R2D2, so he's mine. But
Oh, wow, okay.
you
Uh,
knew that, right? that I did that when I was at
I didn't
Lucasfilm?
I did not know you married R2-D2. Like, the
I did, I
what?
did. At Star Wars Celebration, years and years and years ago, we had a, thing at Celebration, I think it's Celebration LA, Star Wars Celebration, which is like the Comic-Con, but just of Star Wars stuff. And, they had a chapel where you could have a Star Wars wedding. It just was like you got a certificate. It wasn't like binding or anything. But it was like if you wanted to renew your vows, you know, you could have Darth Maul or Darth Vader or somebody be the minister and do that. So to promote it, I did speed dating, which we also had. So I did speed dating with R2D2, and then we had our first date at the Hoth Ice Bar that G4 provided. That's how
What?
long ago this was.
Wow.
And then I got married, and it was crazy because Adrienne Curry, who was the first winner of America's Next Top Model,
Yes?
she was my maid of honor, and she was in an all latex imperial uniform. So it's
Wow.
like that's rule number one. If you get married in general, don't have a supermodel be your maid of honor because it will get into every single gossip rag. And let me tell you, TMZ and Jezebel really thought I was crazy.
Listen, did you ever legally separate? Because California is a communal property state.
Yeah,
If you're still married, you know, you might be
yeah,
entitled to some alimony.
yeah. And
I
we
don't know.
have
I would definitely hire a lawyer if I were you.
yeah. I mean, we have an open source marriage, so
Oh, okay.
R2 gets to be with other robots. I get to be with other humans. Um, I think it's the longest relationship I've ever had outside of my dog. So anyway, this is getting into weird territory, but I did want to say thank you for this book because it was a good escape. And I love that there's multiple books in this series. So if you love this book, you can keep reading.
Exactly. Okay, so we read Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman, who I
Mhm.
don't know, and I don't know the particulars of this, but I do believe that he has a Patreon where Patreon subscribers can literally influence what happens, you know, like bring in characters back and things like that. So
Cool.
I haven't dived into his process. All I know is this guy has written 5 books in this series, continues to post on Royal Road. It's a place where a lot of people post serialized RPG lit. Now, I don't know if you
Oh,
guys remember, I narrated a book called Rule of Cool last year, which was in the RPG lit world, and I'd only been loosely kind of exposed to this subgenre of books, and especially in the last 2 months, I have headfirst dived in because my brother constantly reads them, sends me recommendations. I'll read 7 books in a series, then move on to the next one, and it is just like popcorn books.
I
But
love
this
it.
yeah, but this I believe is the best of all of them for sure. Like, it's funny, it's sarcastic, it's profane, it's hilarious, and it has really good game mechanics. So,
Yeah.
Dottie, I know that you're more of a casual gamer. Did the copious amount of stats and loot box openings and descriptions of skills and classes and stuff, how did you feel about reading through all that within a narrative like this, which is kind of what RPG Lit is?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny too because it reminded me a lot of the choose your own adventure books that like I devoured when I was a kid in the 80s. That was like I bought all those books at the Scholastic Book Fair that would come to our school every year. Like that was what I was really into. And also,
Yeah.
I'm an early gamer, so I was heavy into Atari and Commodore 64 games and pre-Nintendo. So like I was an avid gamer before it became sophisticated. And
Yeah.
I went to arcades. I went to arcades. Like I did chores and babysitting and all that stuff just and pet sitting just so I could get enough money to go to the arcade because the arcade at the mall was amazing and it had all the like
Wow.
latest stuff. And then if I wanted to like rest my eyes, I was pretty good at skee ball. So it was just, that world I love, but also I'm pretty familiar with regular gaming stuff. I'm just not a first person shooter because I get motion sickness really easily. I remember having Doom tournaments among my coworkers when I worked at Apple R&D in Boulder, Colorado, but also when I worked at Home Network, we had them. Basically, all the IT guys would stay behind, and I would stay behind, and our servers were so powerful that we could have these like linked to Doom games and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it kind
So
of
you're
reminded
building,
me,
and also
yeah.
I mean, you obviously worked at Hunt the Killer, so you know about
Oh
building
yeah, yeah, yeah.
characters and things like that.
That's more of an RPG thing where it's
Yeah.
not even role playing. It's just you're the detective and you have all this evidence and you have to figure out who the killer is with the evidence. It's either a one in all box or you can get a 6 episode box. And that I think taught me a lot about how to do narrative game design, which is what they call games. I don't know why they don't just call it game writer or game screenwriter, but I guess it's narrative game design is the proper name for it. So I learned a lot about gameplay and writing down things that connect. So when I
Yeah,
did a
yeah,
sandbox game, everything connects to each other.
yeah.
And yeah, so I understood most of it. I mean, I still, if I
It
don't know a word,
definitely
I Google it if I don't know it, so it's fine.
I mean, here's the thing about RPG Lit. I mean, I've read probably, I'm not kidding, I probably read 25 of these books in the last 2 months. I just
Oh
really
my
dove
god.
in. I'm serious. It's like popcorn. I'll read like 2 a day, especially when I was
Wow.
traveling. I'll
Uh-huh.
just like, and I can't tell you one book from another. I could tell you a couple of the series that I really enjoyed. There's
Yeah.
one called Primal Hunter that is almost like a uncomfortable in that this guy likes to hunt and he hunts, but isn't that what we do in video games? And it's actually, as it goes along, it's really, really, but it's so in the weeds about character building and decision trees and what you should do to min max your
Yep.
character and all this stuff. And so sometimes it just gets so in the weeds. And I just love the fact that all this stuff you kind of are part of the tropes of the genre in this series, Dungeon Crawler Carl. Everything has a comedic twist to it. So essentially, just for people who haven't read it, Carl is a guy who lives in Seattle. His cat gets out and starts his it's his ex-girlfriend's prize-winning Persian cat. Aliens come and flatten out the world, so anybody who was inside dies.
Yeah.
And then they're like, go into the dungeon and try to fight through or stay on the surface and try to figure out how to survive. So he's so cold, he and the cat go down there, and essentially he's entering a video game. And
Yeah.
it's a video game that's on a reality show that's broadcast to all these different worlds around the universe because Earth is just like a mining world for resources. Again, a lot of the tropes, if you read a lot of these books, then you'll be like, oh yeah, it's a D grade world or E grade world or he's an F grade human or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's fun, but then this was one of the first ones I read that got me hooked in the genre in a way that I was just like, I can't read enough. So like starting from here, I wasn't familiar with the tropes as much. And now retroactively, I appreciate this book even more because it is such a sophisticated, fun, almost a parody, but still checking all the boxes of the genre while doing
Mhm.
fresh and new stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, what I thought was kind of cool and a bit comforting because I'm not, like I said before, I'm not up on all the gamer lingo, especially video game stuff. But I mean, I was an avid D&D player and an avid Vampire Masquerade player for a long time, so I do get that universe too. But I loved it because I'm a huge fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and
Oh yes,
the way
yes.
that starts is just so similar to what happens to the main character in that book and TV series and movie, depending on how you got exposed to hitchhikers.
Yeah.
But they basically dispose of Earth because it's in the way of the highway that they're building.
Uh,
And Earth is just in the way. And it kind of reminded me of that. And also the main character definitely feels like the main character in Hitchhiker's Guide. But then also you
yeah.
have, the Hunger Games kind of element to it.
Yeah,
Almost
people fighting each
Ready
other, but
Player.
also playing against the machine, the AI becoming and as you read, I mean, this is just the first book.
Yep.
I've read all 5. I listened to the first one, actually on audiobook for the second read around,
Everyone has been
listen.
saying the audiobook for the first book is really, really good.
So good, y'all.
Yeah.
He does such a
Like the
creepy
guy does the
voice.
voices really well.
Yeah, and the AI, that runs the game essentially has a foot fetish, and
That
Carl, the lead character, just inadvertently starts stomping, so he always gets loot keeping his feet bare and having no pants on. It's very funny. Princess Donut is the Persian cat that gains sentience
yeah.
early on in the book, and so she's this prissy sort of child actor, like showman, which is
Mhm.
so fun. Such a great character. And so they become kind of famous amongst the game, the reality show of it, because they get featured a lot because they do outrageous things. And and they also get pulled out into the universe to do talk shows.
Mhm.
And Donut is just so engaging and so funny that they become like, one of the top teams in the game that they're playing, even though it's like life and death stakes. So yeah, it has a lot of like it definitely checks the box on a lot of genre, and there's a lot of like pop culture winks,
Oh yeah.
like like characters will be Lorelai, and
Yeah.
Rory, and but just like winks to like
I know, right?
references.
Gilmore Girls. Anytime there's a Gilmore Girls reference, I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. Because
Yeah.
usually, like, it's always sci-fi or fantasy links. It's rarely just random pop culture links. So every time that, because Gilmore Girls, I guess it depends on how you view it. I guess it could be fantasy for some of you, but uh, or sci-fi for others. But yeah, I love that. I love the fact that I don't know how I'm going to put this. I love the fact that Clout has a big part of this because I think as Twitter implodes on itself due
Ugh.
to uh, Edward Norton. No, I'm not going to call him that. Sorry. I just watched Glass Onion and I'm like, oh, that's Elon.
Yeah.
They're making fun
Yeah.
of Elon. With Twitter and Facebook and all the socials, Snapchat, TikTok, and then I think we talked about this a long time ago, Felicia, when I was saying that in San Francisco, this is when Clout.com was still around.
Oh, yeah, I remember
And you
Clout. I mean, I
remember
signed up
that?
for everything back in the day. I never
Yeah,
really
so
checked
Clout,
it, but yeah.
just to do a quick summary of what Clout is, it combines all of your social followers to see like how many followers you have. And if it was pre-influencer, pre-micro and macro influencer, but that's
Uh-huh.
where it came from was Clout. And you'd be sent these weird things. Like you could go on vacation to Vegas and they would pay for it as long as you tweeted about it, or you get to like test drive a
Oh,
brand new
wow.
car, or you get, if you're a dog influencer, you get all these dog food, dog treats. So, but in San Francisco, when I was still doing mostly, I think I was still at Lucasfilm. A lot of tech companies wanted you to put your Clout number on your resume.
Oh my gosh,
And I was like,
really?
are you kidding me? Obviously, it doesn't.
Uh,
Well, it doesn't happen anymore with Clout, but I have been told since now I'm back on the job market. Thank you, Hunt a Killer. That putting your follower number matters on your resume.
I
So
mean, I mean, listen, if you're a creator and you need to get your creation
I
out,
know.
I mean, I understand why it's part and parcel. I mean, nothing. I mean, I'm proud of all my work, but if I didn't have social number, that's why I'm worried about Twitter because, my job, if I
I
want to get
know.
another book and Twitter goes down, all I have is the
Mhm.
other platforms I have of following on. And, if one of those goes down, it's like, well, I could write anything I want, but the book deals and the way you support yourself, it's all about these numbers, especially for creators now. So it's kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
But,
But
just hanging out.
I did like that reference though. I did like the idea that this game cares about that. I also like the fact that you get extra cloud or extra points by having your kills be creative.
Yeah,
Um,
well, that's what I love is that Donut is because she's this prissy sort of show cat. But then
mhm.
there's this kind of sad under thing going on that I really love because it's obviously this author is such a good storyteller because I don't know whether he has it all planned out or he just kind of writes as he goes along. So I think Royal Road mostly people do serial stories, and I don't know how much they plan ahead, but a lot of it feels like it's very off the cuff, and the stories are thin and maybe not as engaging in the very beginning of the books. Not this one, but some of them, and then you kind of see them gel and find their groove, and it's clear that people are just posting serialized content spontaneously off the cuff, and some of these people, like there's one, The Wandering Inn, which I actually recommended last year. Like I did not get past the first book because I just forgot about it at the time, but there's like I think 8,000 pages in that that series published, and I'm just like, "Wow, that is, just get it going. Open up
Yeah.
the hose and just start writing." And I really admire it. I mean, I'm kind of like, What am I gonna do? I would love to do one of these books under one of these weird pseudonyms just for fun."
Yeah, you should. I mean, it's funny because when we had our other book club years ago, the Vaginal Fantasy
Yeah.
Romance Book Club, I always threatened to write monster porn under another name, and
Oh,
I had a bunch of stuff written, but I just didn't upload it to Amazon. But I might do that this year.
yeah.
Even though the genre and the market's totally oversaturated to the point that there's even a documentary about how all these first time writers made all this money selling 99-cent novellas on Amazon, but then it became oversaturated with like Bigfoot erotica and
Oh,
crappy
wow.
erotica and all this
Wow,
stuff.
okay.
And it became so oversaturated they're not making the money like they used to, kind of like YouTubers. because the
Yeah, yeah.
algorithm keeps changing. They're not making, not monetizing it enough. But
Yeah.
I I I just yeah, I just love the idea. I have to say that the world building is great in this book, but the creatures are great too.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the
Well,
alien
I
creatures.
mean, again, this author knows games
I
inside and out.
know.
But, like, I read the biography, he designs plates. He's a graphic designer, I guess, and
Oh,
he
really?
designs, like, plates from IKEA. Like, I don't know. That's what I read. Maybe
Does IKEA have designs? I always thought they were just white basic plates.
dude, I don't know. Or, like, greeting cards and stuff. I have no idea. It's very interesting.
Well,
So,
I mean, there's
I wanna know more. I bought a goddamn donut shirt, okay? That's how much
did
I
you
love
really?
skincare. Yes, I did.
Oh my
It was
god.
not free. For once, I
Wait,
did not get free
where did
t-shirt.
you find it? Was it on Etsy or something?
They just opened the author just opened a threadless artist shop, and so
Oh my
there's a
god,
bunch of stuff
Threadless.
there.
Threadless is
I
still
know,
around.
Threadless, I didn't even know Threadless was, still around, and yet I loved Threadless back in
I
the day,
do
so
too. Is Cafe Press still around? I think I still have a girl.com Cafe Press store.
I don't know. Zazzle? Remember Zazzle? I think we did actually a Vaginal
Oh,
Fantasy shirt on Zazzle.
yeah, you know what's sad? I think Lucasfilm used it as Zazzle.
Oh, no.
Oh boy, I probably shouldn't have said that. Anyway, Zazzle.
So, yes, so this game, I mean, and it ends on a low. So what's great about these, books is that, he establishes there's 18 levels to this game, right? And nobody's ever
Mhm.
made it past 12, I believe. But, I mean, you know that there's gonna be 18 of these books, and every single book is
Yeah.
a floor, right?
Yeah.
So, I think you can actually read some excerpts on Royal Road of, book 6, but book 6 isn't out until March. Also, it got I think I don't know if it got optioned as a TV series, but I guess the author got signed by William Morris, which is a very fancy agency. I'm actually repped in a couple areas there. Used to be repped,
Yeah.
in a lot of them, but
I thought Netflix was biting on that.
I don't know. I think it's a wonderful I think it'd be awesome, although I don't know how Princess Donut would be, animated or, like, how do you do, like, an anthropomorphic talking cat? It can't be
Puppet.
like cats, so
Get Henson involved. Do that. The Henson team.
yeah, but,
I don't
it
know.
almost needs to be real looking, do you know what I'm saying? It can't be a puppet.
Well, it can be. I mean, do you remember Christine McDonald's show that she did for Netflix that was like the
That
monster
show,
truck?
that was a big failure, though, I guess, that for that show, even though
I
I
don't know if
loved
it was
it.
a failure. I think it was I can't remember what he said the reason that they didn't do a second one. I think it was just expensive. Um,
I loved it. I thought
I
it was a
do.
great and now she has a very successful Patreon. She lives off her
Oh,
Patreon,
yeah,
which
she's
I think is
great. She
awesome.
lives in a Victorian haunted house up in back east, and,
Wow.
she still d and I think you can rent out her old place in California as an Airbnb, and she left everything as is, so it's
Really?
still very
Oh,
creepy.
that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
all the antiques are there still, but yeah, I don't know, like, I think you could probably do a live action slightly I don't know.
Yeah,
The
I
live action mixed with something else when you have creatures because
it feels very like, Bruce Campbell in,
Evil Dead?
yes, Evil Dead. It
Yeah.
feels very Evil Dead.
Or the cat in the original Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, which was
Uh-huh.
clearly animatronics and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
the cat is so creepy in that, but, I don't know, like, maybe it would add to it if it was, like, campy creation of a cat and
Yeah,
not 100% because that cat talked in Sabrina, so,
that's true, that's
yeah,
true.
I don't know. This
I
is
mean, I
why
guess
I'm
you
not
don't
in charge of anything important.
yeah, exactly. Well, was there any part of the book I mean, what I liked also about this book so I mentioned a couple other series that I have, read, which
Mhm.
are very good. They're less comedic. I mean, sometimes I read a couple that I don't wanna, name, but it's like they're trying too hard to be comedic, you know what I'm saying? And it's
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
cheesy. Or I'm reading one that's really funny about an orc cook who's
Ooh,
part
what's
of
it
an
called?
RPG book, and it's really funny. I can't remember.
Oh,
Everybody in this genre has, like, fake names, like, Mordock and Ronavan
yeah,
and all these it's really great.
that's
But,
awesome.
some of them are and then there's the other spectrum where they're super serious and, like, very hardcore about like, okay, yeah, what would happen if you were dropped? Kinda like Bear Grylls, like you are dropped in a fantasy world. How and they describe the murder of the animals in such detail. I'm like, "Oh
Mhm,
god, I feel a little, uncomfortable."
mhm,
That Primal
mhm.
Hunter series made me kind of feel uncomfortable. I'm like, "Am I in the mind of a serial killer?" No,
Yeah,
he's just like he's meant to be a hunter, and he's hunting animals, and they're trying to kill him, and I guess this is what we do in video games. We're really calling it out and putting it in a realistic setting is was almost jarring, but I really liked the series, and there's,
Yeah,
like, I think 7 of them, so it's really interesting to really think about, like, what are we doing in video games? What are we setting up? And this makes it into a reality show, which is even more brilliant that it
I
has
know,
these sort of
right?
yeah, breaking the fourth wall stuff
Oh,
with
yeah.
the
I love
interviews and
that.
stuff.
It's also, like, Ready Player One type
Yeah.
attitude, but also, God, what was that one with Ryan Reynolds, and he's stuck in a game he doesn't realize and he doesn't know he's a character? Um,
Yeah, what was that? I didn't see it, but,
I don't know. It's on HBO Max, I think. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I can't remember, but it's like
Gamer or something it was something very, like, on the nose.
yeah, where he
Here we go.
doesn't realize
Free guy, Automan
which
and Scott.
reminds me of Scalzi's book, Red Shirts, right? Where the Star
Yep.
Trek characters have red shirts, start realizing that if they have a red shirt, they're going to die. And it's the funniest book ever. And that got optioned, and I don't know what's going on with that. I feel like John Scalzi writes so well, and he does humor so well. And all of his stuff gets immediately bought and optioned, but then nothing happens. And I'm so angry.
Yeah, I know. Okay, we have a great comment in chat by
Okay,
Slurms.
let's hear it.
Was looking up stuff about author Matt Dinniman. He says he doesn't really plan stories ahead. He only has a vague idea how he wants it to end. He
Mm.
sometimes lets his Patreon supporters vote on story elements, which he says
Oh.
F's them up because they choose such random things. And he basically worked on the Dungeon Crawler Carl series because COVID closed all the cons that he used to sell art at. So
Oh,
all these books have come out since COVID, which is wild because that's 6 books. Bonnie,
wow.
I couldn't even get
I
through
mean,
20 pages of NaNoWriMo this year.
I
Now,
understand. Yeah, I got. Oh God, NaNoWriMo, whatever. For me, is just the graveyard of half-finished novels that I've been doing
Ugh.
every year. Every year. So I have like a ton of writing that I've done halfway through, and then life happens and gets in the way.
There were
And
a lot of people on the
oh,
Discord who actually saw it through, and I was so proud of them. I posted my updates, not even
dude,
every day. I was
it's
so
not
busy in
easy.
November, I was traveling and I was
Yeah, you
working
had a
almost
lot.
every day, but it
Well, you
was
have a kid. You also have a child.
it's the
That
great disappointment of my life. I've never finished even a shitty, crappy novel, and it has to change. It just has to.
Well, I suggested a long time ago that we every one of us that got some of it done, like maybe 2 chapters done, we just all group together and do sort of like an exquisite corpse type
Oh,
novel with
yeah, that's it.
all of
Yes.
our stuff
And
together
be
in
like,
one
"Oh,
book.
is the same person writing this?" No, but we're
No.
getting through it.
Yeah, it's like and there's like 13 authors. Like I think that would be great. But
It
yeah,
was
I
really fun.
you know what? It's and we had this discussion a while ago too about creativity during COVID. And especially our friends who aren't necessarily in creative careers think, oh, now you have all the time in the world to finish this, finish that. And I'm like, yeah, but the muse doesn't just hit you constantly. There's this
There was
thing
so
called,
much anxiety the
yeah,
first
there's this
year
thing
of
called
COVID. Yeah.
crippling anxiety and imposter syndrome and depression and anxiety. And you put a plague on top of that and you lose your job or you don't know if you're going to have health care. Like you can't be, you can't be Stephen King. Well, I guess you could be Stephen King if you channeled all that into a book. But I just, it's one of those things that everybody's like, oh, he wrote 2 books during quarantine. And why didn't all my other
God
favorite
bless those
writers?
people. Like, I had a kid, and I also was going to I really needed to just be forced to not do what I was doing in order to get some perspective. I do have a graphic novel I wrote then that won't be out for years. So, like, that's fine, which I'm very excited about, but at the same time, yeah, there's something about, like especially when I was making videos a lot, there's that sort of immediate gratification that you're gonna
Mhm.
be like, "Okay, I'm gonna make something," and at the minimum, a month later, I'm gonna put something up, or maybe a day later, and it's like finding the balance between making the art that you're proud of that will last, or
Mhm.
making the stuff that is disposable that you just wanna get out for that hit, and I'm always battling, like, what's better for me? Like,
Yeah.
is it better to work on a graphic novel and have it come out in 5 years, which is very rewarding, and I put so much work into working and reworking and reworking, or is it better to I've never been able to work, especially on a novel, in a way that clearly this author and a bunch of the other RPG lit authors do, which is don't go in with a plan, don't go in with huge expectations, just write, as much as you can, as fast as you can, just for your own enjoyment, and maybe people will like it, maybe won't, but, like, it's still worth writing, and that's
I mean, that's
something
a
I haven't been able to channel, but I really want to.
I mean, that's kind of what I was saying, alluding to earlier with the monster erotica. A lot of those, like I remember doing a, a video review of Taken by T-Rex.
That was so
Um,
good, I love that video.
which is still on YouTube. It's still on my site and the Vaginal Fantasy YouTube channel as well. But that was a horrible book. In fact, the audio sounded like it was just Siri reading it or
Oh
Alexa
god.
reading it
Siri?
because it was monotone throughout the whole, not even dinosaur noises, just monotone. And I
It
was
was
like,
so funny though.
but it was the number one selling monster romance slash erotica. That was should be good erotica at the time, and it was making a lot of money. And also when you think of books like from Chuck Tingle, right? Who's
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you've read any of Chuck
I
Tingle's.
haven't, but I know
It's
of
it's
Chuck
not,
Tingle.
yeah, it's not like high level reading, but you buy it for the cover for the most
Yeah.
part because it's like he basically turns everything into porn. But it's
Uh-huh.
like I think I bought the Clippy one. Remember when the the paperclip Clippy, they decided to retire that from Microsoft Word?
Yeah.
He did an erotica thing with Clippy. It was like
Oh,
50 Shades of
no.
Clippy or
I
something, and
mean,
it was
listen,
hilarious,
Clippy, if
hilarious.
if you're flexible, Clippy could be pretty
I
never
mean,
mind.
yeah, and anything could be erotica when you really think about it. But I love how these authors of this book or these types of books at least are transparent about their process. You know, at least
Yeah.
they're not saying I went to a writer's retreat and wrote a bunch of this. It comes from my heart. No, it's just fun. It's just fun
It's
to
just
slow the whole
fun,
thing.
I know, and that's really what I really admire about it, and this book but this book also, it's like again, after reading this series, I'm like, I'm going all in hardcore. My brother recommended a bunch, and most of the ones that he recommended to me are awesome. I tried some others. Some of them were a hit, some of them I didn't like, and some of them I didn't really like, but I still kept reading because it's like popcorn reading. I would
Yeah.
rather read one of these books than watch TV because I'm just like, I love moving my eyes back and forth.
Oh, here's a question. Do you like to read, and this is a sidebar, do you like to read more electronically or physical copies of the book?
I read on my Kindle,
Okay.
because I just like I just am used to it, and I
Yeah.
have so many books surrounding me, and I
Is your TBR
honestly,
pile too big?
yeah, it's just too much. My kid will not go to sleep until 9 now, and I'm so exhausted all the time.
Oh,
I need I was up doing a movie, and I'm sick right now. That's why I'm just like
oh
very, very low
no.
energy. It's okay. I've been sick since June, so it's fine. But
No.
it's the
Well,
plague
I
of being
hope
a parent right now.
it's not COVID related, is it? Is it just regular sick?
No, I don't know if COVID had affected my I know COVID made my hair fall out pretty badly, but
What?
oh yeah, my hair is so much thinner than it was. I'm like using
No
like some
idea.
kind of like, like toner on it to see if I'm trying to take all my vitamins, all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
So, it's been a hard several months and I've had all these books just surrounding me, but I just want some comfort. It's like watching a reality show, like
Yeah.
reading an RPG lit. It's like I can read a book in a day. I love it. I feel like I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, also, books should be fun. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird to say that, but a lot of people were turned off by books after college because they had to read so many, depending on what their major was. And
Yeah.
I was an English lit major and journalism major, and I was film history for a while before I realized you have to make a film. And at that time, digital didn't exist, and I don't know if you
Oh,
ever
wow, yeah.
real film; it's expensive. So but also I've been a book lover since I was a kid because I just didn't have a lot of friends and I was geeky and nerdy and I just didn't relate to any of the other kids at my school. So I spent a lot of time reading. And
Yeah.
so I love reading, but I also love physical books. I mean, yeah, look at my Instagram. I'm probably going to die at some point in an earthquake because all my books will fall on me at once. But it's,
Did
I
you get
like,
a but
what?
did you get an actual copy of this, like a physical copy of this book?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, you can do print on demand and different services if Amazon doesn't supply it, you can go
Oh.
through other services. I mean, I'm kind of lame that way, but yeah. I also got the audiobook, which I will say I like the audiobook better just because of the voices.
Oh, the bo I mean, I
Yeah.
listened to the audiobook. Okay, I can't this is my problem with audiobooks.
Okay.
They're just too slow, the pace, but I turn it up to, like, 1.5, and then I'm comfortable.
Wait a
And this
minute. Okay, this is happening a lot with other booktubers I watch who are like, they're Gen Zers and they do this annotation system with tabs, colored
Yeah.
tabs and everything. I feel like have I been reading books wrong this whole time because they do it in almost like a scientific way and also they will read the book but they'll listen to the audio while they're reading the book and it's
Wow,
just
that's
like, "Wait,
weird.
what? What's going on
Okay.
here?" So,
I
but
don't know how you do that, but
they
okay.
do it at fast speed, and I'm like, I have attention deficit. You'll be lucky to even get me to pay attention to anything, let alone 2 things at once, so Yeah, I don't know how that works. I think I'm just old school and I
Think
just like to read normal.
fine. I mean, listen, that's the great is you have flexibility. I read so fast, and I guarantee you I'm not absorbing everything, but my eye skims it. So, I mean, essentially, I'm reading a book in, like, 4 hours. So,
But do you
uh
retain it? Like, do you remember stuff?
not
Or
really. I mean, I remember loose plots, like,
yeah.
loose story plots. I'm not saying that this is the way anybody should be. I'm
Oh,
just
no, no,
telling
no.
you
Everybody's different.
for
Everybody's
this,
different.
I don't think if I'm more interested in a book, I will skim it less. So I think I remember a lot more about this series in particular because I do enjoy the characters. I enjoy the comedy. I just think it's really fun. And I urge you if you guys read this one book, the books get even better. Book 5 is like incredible. Book 2 is really great. All of them have kind of a different twist on whatever the environment of the floor is, which kind of affects how they get out of situations. It's just a
Mhm.
lot of great setting up and problem solving, getting out of a scenario. And it doesn't feel, again, like I said, like sometimes it could be way too lore heavy, way too mechanic heavy, way too fighting heavy. And this book, the pace of it is just very natural and flowing, and it doesn't feel like I'm ever like, oh, get over it. Just kill kill the beast already. Or I don't want to talk about your class upgrades anymore. Anyway. Also, it's just hilarious.
It is.
There's some really dirty things in this, and I love it.
Oh, can I give a quick shout out to my favorite name of a creature, the Karen Kraken or the Crack Karen?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Come on.
It I mean, just the fact that they blow up, like, a nursery of goblins and they become
Oh,
infamous because of it, like, it's really fun because and somebody in the chat mentioned this too, like, Donut can talk, but she doesn't
mhm.
actually understand how humans think at all.
Yeah.
So
It's
and
like
the way
data.
that yeah, the way that's played is really clever and very true to how I think a cat would if they were gonna gain sentience. What would
They
they
would that cat would get kicked off a Twitch chat so fast
Oh,
because
yeah,
the cat types in all caps all the time.
all the time.
All
But
the time.
if they were in person, they would have such a high charisma. That's the great thing about Princess Donut is that and there's some really fun, like so, in this book, all the things that are set up in this book pay off later, like Frank and Maggie, I think. There are a couple of
Mhm.
other crawlers who are bad guys. The antagonizing the other people who are kind of they're gonna have to face on floor 9 for the
Yep.
crown. There's some horrible twists with that in book 5 that I'm like, oh, oh no. Um, so, like and as the books go along, like, they get even better and better written even though they're wonderful up top because, like, there's so many characters that are established. I mean, it also has a lot of heart. So, one of the
Yeah.
storylines that is set up in this first book is where Carl and Donut are helping this old folks home, this nursing home.
I was just gonna mention that.
Yeah, and it's just, like, so it makes them first of all, they're good guys. Even though they're in these horrible circumstances, they're like, "I'm still gonna be a good guy," and they
Yeah.
decide to help these characters, and that actually pays off in a really interesting way later.
Yeah.
So all of it really, although the pace of the book and the construction of the book, and like all these books are not like normal novel that somebody spent years on, I
Mhm.
kinda like that because I don't know what's gonna happen next. It doesn't feel like they're setting something up to then pay
Yeah.
off later.
And also, I feel like it's not like a franchise where you're gonna always disappoint someone because they grew up with it, whether it's Star
Yeah.
Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, whatever. But I really loved how easy breezy it was to read it. Like I didn't have
Oh,
to
yeah.
like reread paragraphs because they were too like fancy pants or whatever. Like
No.
I really loved it. But also, you get these different things too. Like the aliens in this book are assholes, and they're
Yeah.
definitely like a cutthroat bunch of people or
Yeah.
things or whatever. And the AI voice announcer was a total jerk too, but he also had the most hilarious voiceover. So it's like a good combination of tropes, but also there's a lot in this book I haven't seen done before. So I was pleasantly surprised. I knew you would not pick a lemon because you're always good about what you pick for
Yeah.
all of our book clubs that we've done together. So I was looking forward to this one for sure. But it was such a delight to read, and I definitely wanna read the rest of the books in the series because now I'm hooked. Now I have to find out what's gonna happen to
I mean,
everyone.
every that's what the fun part is, like, every level, you're like, "Oh, this is the hook for this level. How are they gonna get out of
Mhm,
that?" And, like, all the
mhm.
characters develop, and then they come back later. Some of them come out 2 back books later, some come of them come back 1. They get new abilities, and like, it's just fun, and I like how as the story unfolds, it gets more complicated, like a bunch,
Yeah.
like the people who run the game, the people who are in charge of running the game,
Mhm.
the powers in the universe that are kind of behind all this. The more that comes to sort of like gets filled out, the even more complex the world becomes, but it never becomes just overwrought. It's always like Donut and Carl trying to figure their way out of a problem.
Yeah.
It's just really fun. So I
I
I, I
like that
highly recommend it.
and I like that the cat, can talk and that it's a main character, and it's not even his cat, it's his ex-girlfriend's cat, so there's
I
just, like, this
know.
and it's also, like, a precious cat, like a fancy feast cat, so it's got this level of just built-in, attitude for the cat before the cat even starts talking, and it's
Yes.
I love it. I loved it so much, but also, I just think it's a fun and interesting way to tell stories, but taking different elements for stuff that we all know. Like, I definitely was getting a little bit of Squid Game vibes,
Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
Alice in Borderland kind of vibes.
Well, yeah, I mean, is it called isekai or this is I'm gonna pronounce it, but
Oh.
anyway, in anime, there's a whole subgenre of and manga, it's, characters going into a video game or playing
Oh,
it, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's how Squid Go it's this it's a very,
Well, it's
very
also
popular in
Scott
Asia kind of
Scott Pilgrim had
yes.
elements that kind of element into it. Yeah. No, I love that genre, but also I just love anything where it's, a Hunger Games-esque thing
Yeah, yeah.
where I mean, this wasn't as depressing as Hunger Games. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it is kinda sad when you think every single building on Earth just got pummeled. So, like, if you had a fit like, I was like, "Oh, no, not Sarah Winchester House, I love that place," but, other people are probably
Yeah.
like, the Vatican or the White House, Buckingham Palace, like, don't you care about those? The pyramids?" And I'm like, "No. No, I care about Sarah Winchester House more than anything."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But also that he left in Crocs. I mean, the guy just did not leave the house in the appropriate outfit, that's for sure.
Yeah, no,
So
for sure, and the fun thing is, like, his girlfriend, they kinda broke up, he kinda discovered on Instagram she was cheating on him, but then Donut was
oh,
like, "Yeah, the guy who comes in when you go to the gym," and, like, he learns
ah,
how bad his relationship was through the cat, and she is just like, "Oh, yeah, there's a
oh,
guy who came over when you were at the gym to have sex with Miss Beatrice," and the fact that he was thinking about stealing the cat because he really did love the cat,
yeah.
and I can't remember I'm not gonna reveal I don't wanna reveal anything,
Yeah.
I can't
By the
remember
way, that whole
this one.
scenario was very triggering for me because I found out one of my ex-boyfriends had been cheating on me while we're still dating through
Ugh.
a through someone I followed on LiveJournal. It was this girl I followed on
Ew!
LiveJournal, and she posted all these pictures of them kissing at a time that he said he was out of state, and he wasn't out of state. I recognized the
My
back
god!
I recognized his office. I recognized his house. Like, I'm like, "What the
Dude,
hell?" But this is LiveJournal, so this was, like, a long time ago, but man, to find I mean, that predates Instagram
that's
by
not
at least
okay. That
5
is
years,
not
10 years,
okay.
but I just remember when I read that in the book, I'm like, "Ugh, been there, girl. I know what it's like. I know what it's like when you find out someone is cheating on you through your social media is the worst."
Yeah, I can't
Ugh.
imagine. Although, I once I just the last couple weeks on when I was on set, I was watching somebody, like, use a dating app, and I was just like, "I'm sorry. This is like casting. This is like going through
Yeah.
headshots and, like, going yeah, it's
But
I could never do it."
at least there's dating apps for every kink. So if you're into lumberjack guys, there's that. If you're
Yeah,
into, like,
yeah.
guys that look like nerds, there's that. If you're into, like,
Yeah, at least
yeah.
you can be specific, but then it's just like everything's all superficial, like, it's all manipulable. You don't even know what
And
the
it's also
person's
weird too, like, I don't know if you watched the Netflix, movie with Neil Patrick Harris, was it Uncoupled? Was that yeah, it was Uncoupled.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he's a gay guy who's been in a relationship for, like, 20 years or 17 years, and when you're out of the dating scene and the dating scene
Ugh.
evolves to the point that when you get back in it, you have no idea what's going on. And there was a great scene when they're in a New York club, a New York gay club, which, by the way, was way too large. I don't know any New York clubs. Even Limelight wasn't that big. And I think he was recreating Limelight for his birthday. Anyway, the point is, he was like, "Why is everyone on their phone? Why is everyone on Grinder? Why don't they just talk to each other in person?"
I
And
know.
they're like, "Oh, it's just easier this way." And they're like they're
It's
standing right next to
not
each
oh,
other in
it's
the
really
car.
bad. Yeah, no, I
So
can't
bad.
even
And I felt the same way because, like, I'm bad at dating. So when I decide I'm gonna date again, it's really I don't even know where to start anymore. So, like, half the time I'm just like, okay,
see
well,
the appeal. I have so many other things to do with my time. I cannot risk
yeah,
spending it on a person I'm not interested in. Like,
it's
no
expensive. Yeah, and the
humans
people I
aren't that
attract
interesting.
yeah, the people I attract are very expensive to keep happy.
Yeah, yeah, you don't want to do that.
I don't know that. No more drummers. No more
I
musicians.
have too many books to read,
I
okay?
know, right?
Call me in 100 years.
And you got a new dog.
I know, I got a new dog, y'all. Her name is, Sarah Lavender.
Love
My
it.
daughter named her and picked her out from the shelter.
Aw.
She was $20, which is
Jeez.
ridiculous because they waived the adoption fee, I guess, this month, but I did make a big donation to the
Oh, okay.
shelter.
That's nice.
Well, somebody on Facebook, suggested it. I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right, I should do that," and I did it, $250 at least. And, she's really cute. She finally ate food today. Before this, she hadn't
Yay.
eaten anything but ground beef and a croissant that she stole from my daughter. She had to get fixed before she came home, so she has that weird puffy cone around her neck, but it's
Oh,
okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's really cute, and I'm really happy, and she's really smart. She seems to learn, and she has only pooped on the floor a couple times, which I'm
Okay,
really
so,
happy about.
just to come back around, do you think your dog would do well in this game like the cat did?
Oh, yeah. Sarah would be very good as sentient, okay?
I mean,
She wouldn't be as good as Sophie, but she would be
yeah,
good. I mean, Sarah Lavender, I haven't known her that long, but
yeah.
she's, she's very smart. She has golden eyes, which I think is pretty.
Oh, that is pretty.
And she's very dense. She's 60 pounds, which I was like, "Oh, this is way bigger than a dog that I wanted."
Yeah.
And I had these expensive couches I saved up for 2 years to get
I
from
know the
Restoration
cloud
Hardware.
couch. Was it a
Uh,
cloud couch?
yeah, I
Yeah.
saved up for 2 years, Bonnie, for those, and then, of
I know,
course,
they're expensive.
they're expensive, but I was like, "I want these couches." So I saved up, and I
Yeah.
got them after 2 years, and now I had to get all these ugly covers from Amazon to cover them up, and I'm like, "Well, at least they'll stay clean-ish, 'cause I'm not gonna tell the dog she can't get on the couch. They're so comfy. Why would I deny her?"
When I had a dog, I mean, I had Sophie for 17 years, and I got a lot of those couch covers that are like Sherpa, like really comfy
Uh-huh.
ones that aren't ugly, but yeah. So and also I think she also had a little nest of like Halloween fleece blankets I would buy
Oh,
from TJ Maxx every
cute.
year. So I'm just so excited you got a dog. I mean, I'm
No,
just
I
excited.
am. I mean, I have an older, cat, and she gets a little too excited around the cat. The cat hisses, and I thought they were okay, but then the dog will kind of fixate, and I'm like, "Oh, is this a good thing or a bad thing?"
It'll
Like, I
take them a
can't.
while. It'll take them a while.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep her calm. If she gets
Yeah.
excited, it's a little too much. She's like 1 or 2 years old, they say. So I
Oh,
did get pet insurance because I've never gotten it before, but I'm like,
that's
"Oh,
good.
expensive, so let's just do
Yeah.
it." So that's been
Okay,
my
so
try.
we know your dog will do well in this game. Would you do well in this game if you were
No,
playing? Oh.
no, I don't have. I
Really?
mean, okay. Well, I know that. I mean, Carl. Okay, here's the thing. If it was me and Sarah Lavender,
Mhm.
Sarah Lavender would be the brawn, and I would be the spellcaster because you can't even throw a ball near me without me flinching and covering my head. I am not a sporty person.
Yeah.
I would definitely need mana and spellcasting and all of that. So if I could do that and
Okay.
have Sarah Lavender be like the bruiser, kind of
Yeah.
like one of the characters in this book. I can't remember her name, but she has 2 Rottweilers. She's like a teenager, and they kind of know about her from the TV show,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
she's kind of this ruthless, kind of very kind of freaky, other character, who one of the other players in the game that they
Mhm.
eventually meet, but not for several books. I'm sorry, I just spoiled something. Anyway, um, so, I would be more like that character because
Okay.
I don't wanna have, like, close-up combat, but I've never been a frontliner. What about you? What class would you play, Vonnie, and what companion would you
I
have?
mean, I like the idea of spell casting. I always like spell casting, but I'm not a bruiser.
Yeah.
I think I've been in 2 actual no, no, no. I think I was in 1 actual fist fight, but that was
Wow.
like junior high. That was
Yeah.
like and it was a girl fight. So it was a lot of hair pulling, a
Uh-huh.
lot of, clothes, disheveled clothes. It wasn't like, Cobra
Mm.
Kai.
Okay,
It wasn't
okay.
that level, like, no broken bones or anything. No one landed in a coma. No one, meaning me, did not land in a
Okay.
coma.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'd want that. I'd want to be more of a trickster level intellectual type of game player, where I like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's
No, that's the thing, because here's the thing about it, which is really interesting. I need to just do a little more research because I'm sure it exists out there. But
Mm,
all the series and books that I've been reading around, in the genre, they've all been either brawny dudes
yeah,
or like hunter dudes.
Yeah.
but none of them have been thieves or healers or the kind of characters I actually play. So I need to just do a little research and find one of these books that kind of
Great.
yeah,
It's
has a
like,
lead character who does something that I would play in a video game.
it's kind of like when you do Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like, do
Yeah,
you want to be the one that's shape shifting? Do you want to be the spellcaster? Do you want to be the one that can drink everyone under the table? Do you want someone who can stomp on the ground and everyone dies? Like, it just
yeah,
depends
yeah.
on what you want, but you don't get everything.
Uh-uh.
Was it that phrase, God doesn't give with two hands? So you so you could be really good at one thing and really horrible at another thing. So, which
Yeah,
I think is Guardians of the Galaxy motto, right? So
exactly. Yeah.
but I like the idea that there's different ways you can win at this game. I think that was kind of what I liked about Hunger Games in a way, is that you had to use your smarts. You couldn't just be the
Yes.
toughest.
Yeah,
And
and
yeah,
as the series goes on, you do see examples of other characters, and there's, of other characters succeeding with different abilities, and yeah, it's really fun. It's like watching a D&D game. So, um,
so like you said
yeah,
earlier, they also have the talk show element. And I was thinking this was very interesting because I have been on the other end of that spectrum where I'm the journalist at a press junket, asking these actors about their craft. And you've been at many press junkets where you're the actor and you get asked a lot of dumbass questions. And I
yeah,
was like, you know what? Sometimes the people that are super okay, Henry Cavill is the exception to this rule, but
uh-huh.
some people that are very beautiful and very like into their character, they're boring in real life.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're not
100%, yeah,
they're not good
100%.
conversationalists at all. Henry's a good one because he was the last person I interviewed before I left CNET for Witcher, and
Oh, interesting. Well, he's
he's
genuinely nerdy and
oh
smart. Like, I
yeah,
guess
I
he
mean,
was kind of a real nerd in school, and he was
yeah.
bullied,
I
and
will tell
yeah.
you though, he's the only smoker I know. I had no idea he was a smoker.
He's a smoker? Oh
Yeah,
my
you can't
gosh.
smell it on him at all. Like I saw him like
Really?
catching a quick cigarette out back, and I'm like, what?
Ooh,
Anyway,
wow,
spoiler
okay.
alert. Superman. Oh, I can't call him Superman anymore.
No.
Warhammer guy is a smoker. I don't know what to call him anymore. I'm so angry, by the way, about Witcher. I was like, can we just bring him back? I mean, I love the hems with brothers or whatever, but
I mean, I don't know anything about it. I've just been reading online rumors, and I'm like, I don't
oh
know
yeah.
what happened. I just know that they're not going back. They said it, so go ahead and move on. I'm excited about Liam. I'm not as like, oh my god, it has to be Henry Cavill, but
Me neither. I guess I shouldn't be like that because Brendan Ruth was my favorite Superman for a long time.
he was
And
great.
then
He's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
So it's interesting to read books like this because then of course my brain's always like, well, what this would be a great TV show. And if this does get optioned by Netflix, if those
Yeah.
rumors are true, what's your casting? Who would you
Yeah.
cast? Who would you cast as Carl? I'm curious, Felicia. Who would you cast
Oh
as Carl?
wow. Boy, that'd be hard. That'd be
Yeah.
hard. It'd have to be kind of a rugged guy, not Chris Pratt. Okay, I just know it's not Chris Pratt.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think of see all the guys, this from knowing me for so long. I prefer skinny Cumberbatch types or Richard
Yeah.
Armitage types.
No,
Like,
this needs to be a burly kinda
yeah,
guy,
you
you
can't have like
know?
a sickly goth boy be Carl, and that's usually my
Yeah. I mean, really, it's very
um,
Bruce Campbell-y. I don't know. I mean, just
oh yeah. Well, yeah, just let's just go back in time and hire 20 something Bruce Campbell.
yep.
Yeah, that would work. I don't know, like the cat, the voice should be either like Helen Mirren
Oh, yeah.
or I'm trying to think of a good cat voice. Anyway, I always do
Anyway,
this,
well,
and I shouldn't do it.
it was a great book. Now you're picking the book for next month,
Oh yeah.
right? As we're
Mhm.
wrapping up?
Yeah, so I thought it would be nice to read a memoir because I don't think we haven't done that yet.
I don't think we have yet. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's from my favorite actor, Alan Rickman, who of course everyone knows played Snape
Yeah.
in Harry Potter, but he's also been in a bajillion other things, including Die Hard, the best Christmas movie ever. Um,
Uh-huh.
and this is called Madly Deeply: The Diaries of Alan Rickman. I think it's Madly Deeply Truly, Truly Deeply Madly was the rom-com he did in the 80s that was like everyone loved it.
Yeah.
But he's in Love Actually. He's in everything.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
this
yeah.
kind of British actor that he's a character actor, but he's also just well known for being him. And
Uh-huh.
read this book super freaking fast. It got sent to me by the publisher randomly. And I read it really quickly because I was like, holy shit, it's kind of like, I mean, it's diary entries. So you find out, what he thought about when he started worked on the Harry Potter set. And it has like a lot of different things that he brings up from all the movies he's done and the friends that he has. And It's just an interesting look into his brain, but also I just love a memoir that's kind of like not overly edited, so it's literally a diary. They just
Yeah.
basically published his diary. It's kind of like the Andy Warhol diaries are some of my favorite things because he's so bitchy. In those, I don't know if you've ever read the Andy
No, I
Warhol.
haven't. I'm not a big biography reader, so I'm very excited about this because
Yeah, I think you'll like it. I think if anyone likes Alan Rickman in any of the movies or TV shows or any of the games he's voiced over or any of that stuff, they're going to really appreciate this because it's definitely weird because it is his journal, right? It is his diary.
and he
Who's
probably never intended on having this be public. It's
right?
really
Like I
interesting.
was
Yeah.
just saying that because I've been keeping a journal since high school for every year. And when when I moved here from San Francisco, I thought I put all my journals in the same boxes. And I
Yeah.
guess one of them accidentally got mixed up with the books to donate to Goodwill. So the San Francisco Goodwill has 3 years of my life somewhere in their book stacks. That's very candid. I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm not famous because that would be some TMZ stuff.
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
you write a journal, unless you think you're going to be famous, you don't know what's going to be published. I'm sure Anne
No.
Frank wasn't like, I'm going to be a public, well, that's a bad example because I mean,
No,
Anne
no.
Frank, but
I
you know
just
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you write, you journal to like keep
Nothing I wrote in
yourself.
my journal is articulate enough that I would want anyone to read it. I want to be honest with you. That is not okay.
Yeah, mine's articulate, but it's also like, is Bonnie crazy? Like, if you read this and didn't know who I was, you'd be like, "Ooh, what's going on with that chick?" Like, it's
Yeah.
it's just a lot of like insecurities and stuff. So this was not that. This was not that. So when you read this, it isn't like Alan Rickman talking about dreamy boys he wanted to date. Like none of that. It's
Yeah.
just, but it is good insight in him as an actor and a creator and a creative person, but also of his generation and the people that he worked with. So
Yeah.
it's just a fun little. I mean, it's you'll read through it pretty fast because it is reading a diary. It's not like huge juxtaposition type transition paragraphs or anything.
Yeah.
So
Well, anyway, okay, well, cool. Well, you guys will be reconvening the last Tuesday of January to read Alan Rickman's biography, and please come and listen live on that day, or just listen to the podcast feed. And that's it. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Hopefully we can hang out again. Yeah, we'll hang out again soon enough. And I will get over this cold. If one day I could just be well,
Oh,
that would be pretty awesome.
I hope you feel better. And now that you have a dog, if you ever need a dog sitter, I pet sit for the Wheatons and for lots of other people.
Oh
So
yeah, I will let you know because I
okay,
will definitely need that. Okay, bye you
okay,
guys. Happy New Year,
bye.
everybody. Bye.